What a pleasant surprise. Fancy seeing a familiar face around, this time of night. Care to join me in the carriage? The rain will only get worse, judging by how thick the clouds are. It would be a shame to ruin such elegant clothes, my dear. A runny nose wouldn't suit you either. Good. You would have caught your death out there in the cold. Look at you. Poor thing. All soaked. Here, take my coat and warm yourself up again. You're shivering. There you go. Were you heading anywhere in particular? It is rather late for somebody like you to be walking around alone. Bad things happen to pretty faces around here, especially at this hour. Oh, poor thing. What unfortunate timing. The rain must have begun right as you were on your way back. I'm glad I noticed you then. It may not be far from your residence, but without an umbrella, it would have been quite an uncomfortable journey. Having you here gives me an idea. However, I'm on my way to the theater. Would you care to join me? If no one is expecting you at home, of course. I planned to go with a friend of mine, but they didn't feel like mingling tonight. So now, I have an extra ticket to the play, and letting it go to waste would be quite a shame. Lovely. I hope you'd be interested. Today's an opening performance of The Discarded Son, and I couldn't help myself. You know I have a weak spot for the arts, and with the prospect of seeing an intriguing drama, I simply had to. It would be a pleasure to take you. And please, don't feel like a replacement. I was attempting to cheer my friend and get them among people, but it seems they're not ready for that quite yet. Were their circumstances any other, I might have asked you to go with me. However, Valentine is going through a rather difficult phase at the moment, and I try to keep them from isolating. But sometimes, it might be best to give people time to recover, before dragging them out their comfort zone again. Caterpillars, too, need to stay in their cocoon to become majestic butterflies. For us humans, it's more self-reflection than discorporation, but the result is similar enough, in my opinion. Enough about that, my dear. I'm certain all will be well in due time. For now, though, would you care for a glass of mild wine? Lord Devereux gifted me a fine bottle, just earlier today, and I have been wondering whom to share it with. I'm certain it will be your taste, my dear. The Lord is very careful about selecting gifts, and from what I've heard, this particular kind has a very light taste. I'm not too fond of strong alcoholic notes myself. After having a fair share of drunken experiences, it eventually begins tasting of bad decisions and memories best forgotten. Here you go. Have a taste if you like, but be careful not to spill it on yourself, dear. Wine stains tend to be rather tedious. I suppose having wine glass in my carriage is a little strange, but I bought them, only a few moments before I noticed you on the streets. I realized my old set was, well, not a set anymore. And I figured some new glasses were in order. These are much nicer than my older ones. A lot finer, too. The thin glass is quite pleasant to look at, but I wonder it might be a little fragile. I suppose I'll have to hope they last a little longer than the previous set. Last time, a rather rowdy guest began breaking them after getting upset. Some people can handle rejection well. Others begin throwing tantrums, and their host's wine glasses, it appears. Luckily, nobody was injured and only the glasses were destroyed. All else remains mostly untouched. Drunken people tend to be quite the hassle. That's part of the reason I mostly soar off liquor. But every once in a while, a glass of wine or two with such lovely company is simply too tempting. Such pleasant flavor. I never tasted anything like this before. Have you? It vaguely reminds me of spring. Oh dear. Are you alright? The road must have had... Fuck. You're bleeding. Don't look at me. Just take the handkerchief. It may be a small cut, but please, just press it on your wound. You looked, didn't you? You noticed the change in my eyes. I promise you, nothing will happen as long as you cover the wound. I said cover it, now! Great, a second glass broken. I still have to get used to this grip strength. You really have a death wish, don't you? For Christ's sake... No, don't take it off. Just keep it pressed on there. I'll be fine. God, the smell. Listen, you have to stay calm. I can sense your heartbeat getting faster. And for Christ's sake, you have to keep holding that handkerchief. I apologize, dear. I lost my temper for a moment. This situation cannot be blamed on you. I suppose it is my fault for withholding information about myself. But in my foolish mind, I hope I'd be able to keep it a secret. You poor thing. You look terrified. Trembling from the cold, the shock, or the fear. Perhaps all at once. I assure you, you are safe. I can control myself. You must have think of me as some kind of maniac. And I admit, were I a normal person, this kind of reaction would be strange, to say the least. Be not afraid, my dear. Please, allow me to explain. I have kept this hidden from you for selfish reasons, but I've been affected with vampirism, an illness of the mind and body alike, that makes one behave more animalistic than they may wish. A sickness slowly chipping away your sanity until all that you are have been stripped to the core. What remains is only a poisoned, black beating heart that offers a glimpse to what the opposite of humanity might look like, were it boiled and filtered into an essence of pure darkness and evil. It makes the infected yearn for blood, but I've never felt such a strong reaction over silky smell before. In all my years of suffering from this affliction, never has such a small cut been enough to induce the switch within me. Perhaps it's because I know you, because you mean something to me, as a person, as cruel as the implications of that would be. Perhaps it has to do something with the wine, and the Lord did it on purpose, to sabotage me. Or perhaps it's simply you. I was worried you would fear me, once you knew, but I'm not sure how to interpret that expression on you. Are you terrified? Intrigued? In shock even? Whatever you may feel, I understand if this means you prefer keeping your distance from now on. I will ask the driver to get you home directly. What's that supposed to mean? How could you possibly entertain the thought of being in this confined space with me, after seeing my reaction to the tiniest bit of your blood? How could you possibly look into these hungry eyes and feel unthreatened? How could you be comfortable, knowing that the slightest fracture of your skin I might leap at you, and won't be able to stop myself? A friend of mine recently had an incident. They weren't able to stop. I don't want you to end up like that. A lifeless body in my arms, another casualty, fallen, because yet another young vampire lost control. You don't deserve to end up like that. Nobody deserves to end up like that. But if I could save only one person from ever enduring the same fate, it would be you. I cannot let you fall to your demise, simply because you put your trust in me. My dear, it was selfish of me to try to befriend you. Vampires and humans should never interact with one another. I should have been honest with you, or at least save both of us the struggle of getting involved. I might hurt you, and even if I don't, you will die within what it feels like a blink of an eye. We were never meant to meet, and it was foolish of me to toy with fate, as I did. I could not possibly entertain the thought of you staying near me after these most recent events. You can never be safe by my side, and I can never truly be at ease, knowing that I'm merely a paper cut away from becoming a murderer. From hurting a person I care about, an innocent human being. You deserve so much better, my dear, even if that means I can never see you again. In the end, I can't tell you what to do. I can only suggest it might be the best to stay away. Perhaps, for tonight, we can pretend none of this happened and enjoy the play together. Tomorrow will be your choice to make. Take your time and think about it, my dear. Consider the danger and weigh your options. I promise I won't be upset either way. Not like I have much of a choice in the matter.